Hello everybody and welcome back to Matura Express. My name is Timna and today we are going to do some trial exams. Okay, so as I said, today we're going to talk you through two different trial exams about the topic of traveling and tourism. Now, if we could see the first one, maybe. No.
Huh?
I think it's. Is it this?
Sorry.
This one?
Ha.
Yes, perfect. Here we are. Okay, so the first exam that we have here about traveling and tourism, the introduction is same as always. You will be asked some questions about your career, future plans, etc. Then, task 1 is called Then and Now, which is, of course, you have a role and it's monologue. About 3 to 4 minutes, you all know that by now. Your situation is you work at an airline and you are responsible for marketing. Your next campaign will be about traveling through the years, and you have been asked to hold a talk in front of your colleagues about the campaign. So, you have to talk in front of your colleagues, and you are working at an airline in marketing. That's what you have to keep in mind. Then your task is to introduce your colleagues to the topic. Talk about how travel has changed over the years, why people travel nowadays, how you could make people remember how traveling used to be. And those 3 are the bullet points that you have to include in your monologue. And then if you, when you did that, you can move on to the dialogue, which is about tourism in Austria. So after your talk, your colleagues can ask questions. You start talking about tourism in Austria. That's of course typo. And which destinations you find the most interesting and should maybe be advertised in the campaign, because the airline is of course Austrian, or from Austria, and you want to kind of advertise Austrian destinations. So use information from the text 10 places to visit in Austria. There's a link below. As well as your own ideas. I have the link here, but I think we forgot to put it. Oh no, we can't put it in the live chat because this is not live. Because we have we're actually filming it for you in advance. So we're going to put this link and also the link for the next exam text in the video description below. So if you want to look at those websites, just see or look at the links below. Yeah, so much about task 2. Then the follow-up discussion, same as always. After the role play, take an active part in a short discussion about the topic traveling and tourism with your examiners. They're going to ask you some questions and you should ask them questions too. The important thing about the follow-up discussion is to always remember to kind of be in your own role again, we could say. Kind of just be yourself again and don't play a role, because that's something that it can be forgotten quite easily. I think we have done that here in the stream as well a few times, that we forgot to change the roles. So that's something you could, perfect, something you can keep in mind. Okay, now let's welcome my colleague. Yes, here she is. Welcome back, or welcome.
Welcome.
So welcome to your Matura exam.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so if you'd like to introduce yourself first.
Okay, so hello, my name is Katrin. I work as an assistant in an accountant's office.
Oh, wow.
And so I decided to take the Matura exam so that I can go on and take some more accounting courses to just broaden my horizon and qualify more.
Perfect.
So maybe that I have a future in this job.
Yeah, sounds good. And how did you get into accounting?
Well, I went to school and I always liked numbers and math, and so I just went to a talk at the what's it called, at the Service for Work Employment, and we just talked about my likes and dislikes and abilities, and so we then they suggested to me to just look into that job, and then I did an internship there, and so I thought of staying because I thought it was very nice and I liked the job. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Okay, so whenever you're ready, just start with task 1.
Okay. So, welcome colleagues. We have an exciting time in front of us because we have to plan the campaign about traveling through the years, and I know all of you remember like the job, how it used to be 10 years ago or maybe 20 years ago. So there has been quite a lot of change, and so we need to display that to our customers, and therefore I want to talk about traveling and how it has changed to you. So let's start with how traveling has changed over the years. And I'm sure like when you think about your childhood, no matter how old you are, from the point of view from now, you probably all say, okay, I'm traveling more than I used to, because traveling has become so much cheaper. So many more destinations have opened up to you. The world and regions have become more accessible. So there's so many more opportunities to travel to. And traveling is not about being rich anymore. You can travel even with our company on a low budget, on a high budget. You just have the choice. And so why people travel nowadays is very, or it varies a lot. We have the business people who fly with us frequently, who we kind of very well know, and who are just here to go from A to B. Then we have the very excited family members who travel because they want a family reunion, they want to see their new grandchildren, or they want to see where their daughter moved to. And so that's a very nice reason, very nice customers. And then we have the people who want to see the world, who want to get to know new cultures, who are very excited to travel to the furthest regions that they don't know and can have an adventure in. And then we also have the people who fulfill themselves like a lifelong dream for like going to the States one day, saving up their money for years and years just to do this one flight, go on this one journey. So we have very different reasons why people travel, but all of these reasons make our job so exciting. And then how could we make people remember how traveling used to be? And I think that we need to display that ourselves. So one project could be, let's work on our uniforms back from the 70s, or let's serve the drinks and the food that we used to serve in the 50s, or let's be futuristic. I know That would be also fun. And let's display them on a poster, in our videos. I mean, we still have the videos from like the 70s where we instructed them how to use the mask and everything. And so I think that could be quite fun. And I hope you're all in it with me to planning this campaign. And yes, if you have some advice or some questions about that campaign, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much. I thought that was a very interesting talk, and we now kind of really informed about this new campaign. And what I was thinking about was, should we focus on Austria as well? So kind of look at how traveling used to be in Austria.
I think that would be quite fun because we are, our roots are in Austria, like most of our colleagues are Austrians, so why don't we have pictures of people traveling by horse, by feet, and display pictures of what like the Vienna airport used to look like, what people like the beginnings, the very beginning, the first airplane maybe. That's a good idea. Yes.
And I think there's also lots of different destinations in Austria that are very kind of interesting for visitors, that are also for different types of tourists. So I think there's lots of different destinations that we could kind of advertise.
Of course. I mean, we have, like, Austria has something for everyone. We have the culture lovers that can go to the big cities, like for instance Innsbruck, Vienna, Salzburg, and then we have the nature lovers that just fly into Innsbruck to just go about Tyrol and have all these the mountains, and then we have the families that maybe like to go to Zell am See and have a nice vacation there, a nice quiet one. So we have so many destinations. You're absolutely right. Yes.
There's lots of different things. What else was I thinking about? Can't really remember now. Oh, right. Because you were talking about nature, I think that's also a really important point. When people think about Austria, they think about nature and natural parks and skiing and all those things. So I think that's something that should really also go into our campaign, right?
Yes, of course, because I mean, in the winter, most people fly into Austria because they want to go skiing, and it's basically it. So I think tourism, like the sports tourism, is really big point in Austria, and probably makes up a very high percentage of tourists that come here. So I think we should definitely advertise that section more. Yes.
Okay, well, perfect. I think we can now move on to the follow-up discussion.
Okay.
So, what do you think about traveling? Do you like traveling? Do you like being a tourist?
I do like being a tourist, but I do not like being a mass tourist.
Okay.
Like, first when Ryanair rose and became popular on the market, I thought, oh, that's a great idea to just get cheaply from here to there. But then on the other hand, it just, I don't know, it has a kind of a negative touch for me. I think nowadays I'm more of I want to be more of the aware type of tourist, like respect the rules that are in the country, respect the culture, respect how to dress. When I went to Morocco once, we really thought about our clothes, and we packed in everything that was that went like beyond the knee,
because you have to
covered,
kind of cover up, right?
that covered the shoulders. I mean, I wouldn't wear a hat scarf probably, but then I saw these British tourists, and they had these like spaghetti tops and like these mini skirts, and I thought that's kind of very disrespectful. And I don't like being put into one bucket or under one blanket with them. What do you think?
I think, and even if you think about like tourists coming here, we also don't want them to dress disrespectfully or behave disrespectfully in any kind of way. So that's how we should think about our behavior when we go somewhere, I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to, I think it's very much about respect, like respecting, like, I mean, you're excited to go somewhere,
yes, of course.
to see like these the cultural heritage of the country.
Yeah.
But then you should be really, really respectul because I mean,
they are the reason why all this culture is there, right?
Yes, and they are the reasons, the reason why you're so excited going there.
Exactly.
And I think that I once sat in an office, and then the stupidest discussion about tourism or about going away was between two ladies, and they talked about going on a cruise, or they went on a cruise, and then they came back, and then they really complained about that there was. Every day when they went into the port, there was this local food, and there was no real potatoes on the buffet, and it was like, that is so weird because I mean you're going on a cruise,
that's
meaning you're visiting different towns.
That's why you go traveling.
Yes, I mean if you want to have potatoes and schnitzel, stay home.
Yeah, stay home or visit Vienna maybe.
I don't know. But I mean, don't go anywhere else if you can't live without potatoes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
that's true. Okay, well, I think we can conclude our first exam.
Thank
you very much. Okay, so let's take a quick look again. What Katrin did very well is she stayed in her role very, very, very well, and you really got the memo that she was kind of at an airline, responsible for marketing and all those things. She also had a very nice introduction for us, so she told us kind of what she's going to talk about and this campaign and so on and so forth, and then she slowly talked us through all 3 bullet points, which was very, very nice. And then we moved on to task 2, where we had a fun discussion about Austria and tourism in Austria. And as you can see, sometimes it can be quite hard to kind of keep up a good conversation because people kind of have to think about the next question or about what they want to say. And that's just something that's normal. That's something that happens in everyday life as well. You can't just kind of keep talking and talking and talking. At some point you do want to kind of think about what you're going to say next, and that's completely fine as long as you're not thinking about 4 or 5 minutes, but a few seconds, that's totally fine, and that's normal, as I said. And I think that's all for the first exam. Let's jump right to the second one. Here it is. And again, traveling and tourism, introduction stays the same. Task 1 is education and traveling. Your situation: you are a primary school teacher. The parents of one of your students have come to talk to you about wanting to take their son out of school to travel the world with him. And they want your advice. So your task here is to give them some advice about their plans, to talk about the educational advantages of traveling, what they could do, so the parents, what the parents could do while abroad to help their child broaden their horizon, and also talk about the importance of remembering to also teach your or their child basic knowledge, so like maths and English, that they don't forget to incorporate that as well during their travels. So that's quite an interesting situation because you have to think about being a teacher and having kids, but I think once you kind of thought about that for a few minutes, you can get into it quite easily. And then you can move on to task 2, which is traveling with children. So after your talk, the parents have some more questions about traveling with children. Because they know that you have children, you travel with yourself. So talk about what to keep in mind when traveling with children and use information from the text 20 tips for traveling with children from the link below, as well as your own ideas. And then again, the follow-up discussion is the same about tourism and traveling. Here we have the link, which will be in the description below. And now I think if Katrin is ready, she is. She can appear again. Perfect. And so, welcome again.
Hello.
Hello. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I very may. Oh. Okay, so my name is Katrin.
Yes.
I'm here to take my Matura exam, and usually I work at my parents' bakery.
Okay.
I'm not a trained baker, but I'm a sales assistant in the bakery, and I want to, in the future, I want to take some management courses to maybe at some point take over the bakery and maybe expand it a bit more, something like that.
Oh wow! So do you like to bake yourself as well?
Not so much.
Not so much?
I mean, I like the selling part, and I like the social part about selling the goods, and then I like having customers that come in every day, and I do like that, but I'm not very good at like baking the goods.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
What was I going to say now? But your parents, or does your mom or your dad do all the baking?
My both of my parents do the baking.
Yeah.
The bakery belongs to my father's side, and like my grandfather was a baker, and my great grandfather, and so it's a very traditional bakery shop. But then it has stayed traditional for quite a long time. So I needed. My opinion is it needs a little change up.
Okay.
So to just be not old, because traditional and old-fashioned is very close, and I think we're more on the old-fashioned side, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. But are your parents happy about you wanting to kind of?
I think a change means a little stress for them, so they are on the, I think they fear that we will lose some traditions, but I mean, I'm on my point of view is that changing something doesn't have to mean to get rid of all traditions.
Of course.
Just means that traditions have to adapt to new times, maybe. But we're still in a discussion there.
Okay, well that's good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So whenever you're ready, just start with task 1.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're here today because you asked about taking your son out of school for a certain amount of time and to go traveling with him, to travel the world. And you asked for my advice. So I'm happy to just share what I think about this idea with you. And then maybe at the end we will talk about it a bit more. So I think it's a great idea that you take the chance and take your son out of school while he's still that young and very flexible in his surroundings and in his habits. So I think it will have a great educational advantage. It will broaden his horizon, seeing so many different places, seeing so many different ways of life, and it just will help him probably in the future to just see himself, like his own standpoint or his own point of view better, because he has, like up till then, he has seen so many different ways of living, so many different opinions about living, about family, about life, about culture, that will make him probably a very open-minded person and a very aware person probably. So what you could do to help your child broaden his horizon, or to help your son, is that you actually show him the culture. So don't stay in your hotel compound or just meet with other world travelers, but actually go to the marketplaces, live the usual residence life, go to the actual religious and historic places, meet people, meet locals, talk to them, and buy local food, and just really not be on the outside of this community, but step into the community. And I think that will help your son a lot to experience that culture and broaden his horizon. And also talk with him about what he sees, what he hears, what he smells, whatever, because I mean, if there's a goat being slaughtered on a marketplace in some country, you should probably have to talk to him to say that it's okay here, that other countries do it differently, but help him cope with all the new things. And then please do not forget that it's very important that you also sit down with your son to and teach him just the basic knowledge of math, English, your native tongue, German, history, even arts, because I think that you will probably end your world travel at some point, and this will make him the going back to a steady life so much easier. And plus, everyone needs, I mean, if he wants to talk on your world travels with people, he will need English, and he will need the basic math to do his counting on the markets or wherever you go. So it's very important that you don't forget that, and help him just have a good start in his school career when he comes back, because I think you will come back at some point. But do you have any further questions?
Well, thank you for your advice. We are very, very excited about doing this big project, and now that you've kind of told us that you think that it's a good idea as well, we're very sure about it now. But some things we're kind of not that sure about is, are there some special tips that you can give us for traveling with children? Because we know that you have children as well and you like to travel, so yeah.
Well, I mean, the first and most basic tip is to take your time. I mean, if you run from gate to gate and just sleep one night here and then go next, it's good for you and you can cope with it. But I think children have a harder time coping with all that change, all these new situations, and then they fall asleep for a nap and wake up somewhere else. And so just take your time, don't rush. Okay. I mean, you probably have a plan in the back of your mind what you want to do, but if that comes out as very hectic and very stressful, just have a plan B to just cross off some cities or countries off your list, because I think it will do him good if you just take your time.
Okay. That's I think something we really have to keep in mind. Is there something else?
Well,
That's
I mean,
important.
some basic thing is that I think before traveling to the very exotic countries is that you have a checkup with the doctor before,
yes, of course.
and maybe ask about like vaccinations,
maybe especially for children.
Yeah, yes, and or if you have the dengue fever, what do you have to do? Do you have to fly back? Or can you just go to a local doctor? What would he advise? So just talk to him about the risks maybe for children.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think we can move on to the follow-up discussion now. So, have you personally traveled with children before?
I do have. with my nieces and nephews, and actually it takes such a long time.
Yeah, really?
Yes, even if you're at the airport and then there's this sudden call, oh, last call for boarding, blah, blah. I mean, I would just run, but then you have these little kids and then they have to go to the toilet or they need a diaper change or whatever. It takes so much more time to travel with children. So it's you have to keep that in mind.
And also plan for that.
Yes, and plan. And you always have to have like tissues with you and an extra diaper and something to eat and something to drink and something to read, and I don't know, it's very it's kind of stressful. I find
but I imagine it's a really interesting experience for children to have kind of their first flight with them and maybe have them look out the window or I don't know, experience new things for the first time.
I think it must be so. I mean, sadly enough, I can't really remember the first memories of my travels.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but me neither.
But I mean, it was those little things I remember, like this excitement when we started in the middle of the night, and my parents packed me into the car, and then I woke up, and the sun rose, and we were just somewhere on the autobahn, and went somewhere, and I don't know where. And then you get out of your car, and then you see
you are somewhere.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But then, like, my parents never traveled somewhere very exotic. But still, it was traveling.
It's still traveling. You don't have to travel to, I don't know, very far.
And I don't think you should travel because you want to see, like, I mean, when your children are small, you don't need to travel because you want to see your kids. And then you want your kids to see different places because, I mean, they're happy with anything, anywhere, at any time.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to travel somewhere far, it should be because you want to go there. Because if you just go there for your kids, maybe it's just two strangers if they don't play along.
And also they might not remember, like, depending on how small they are, I think kids don't remember a lot of
or maybe
things
then they just like find things interesting where you think, oh God, that's so touristic.
Yeah.
And then look at this monument, and then they don't want to because they think it's boring.
Yeah.
Have you traveled with kids before?
I haven't really, no. I was just thinking about traveling myself as a kid, but I can't really remember much, and that's why I also thought about kids not remembering a lot of about their travels, because I know I did. Our parents took us to like different cities in Europe and things like that, but I really only remember the photos. So I think that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind as well.
I don't think you have to do like fancy things.
Yeah.
Just being together, probably that counts.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we can let this exam come to an end. Thank you. Okay, so that's it for our second exam. Today, again, Katrin did a very, very good job as always, and she stayed in her role perfectly. You could really believe her that she was a teacher and that she was giving you advice, or giving me advice in this case. She talked about all the bullet points, and it was very interesting to listen to her. And then also in task 2, where we had our dialogue, we kind of exchanged ideas, and it was a very two-sided thing, which is good. And I think there's not a lot to say here. So that's how a very good exam could go. And if you have any questions about the topic, about the bullet points or the tasks, anything like that, don't hesitate to ask us in the comments. Do we know what's next week's topic? Next week's topic will be something very interesting. And if you're interested in learning more and listening to us and watching us for a bit more, then tune in again. Otherwise I want to wish you a very nice evening and goodbye.